Well, I figured you guys have heard all the other steps of everything that have happened in the hospitals. I would do this last step for you. Waiting for the shower and bathroom to heat up, and I'm gonna go in and take a shower. That's why I still have bedhead. Okay, where did I leave off with y'all? Talking to the liver transplant people. I go to work on, what the hell is today? Saturday. I went to work on Thursday, the 24th. And I just get at my desk and the phone rings and it's my Aunt Linda going, we need to go to Chicago. And I said, what's going on? I'm gonna call Dad. So I called Dad. Dad can't really talk. He just said, your mom had a really bad night. And he was so rattled he just couldn't drive to the hospital. He was at my cousin's in Evergreen Park. So adrenaline pumped and I'm like, okay. So I left and I went home and threw some things in a bag because I didn't know if I was going to be staying there. I didn't know what was going on because he couldn't really communicate that well to me. And so I gotta remember I'm on a time limit. I come home, pack a bag, call my aunt and uncle, and then my cousin Roy wants to ride with me, so my aunt and uncle stay here because my uncle just had chemo a few days before that and he was not feeling well, but he just did not want me to go to Chicago alone. But since Roy was going with me, he felt better. So I go run out, pick up Roy, and Roy and us are driving, and I drive from their house to my cousin's in Evergreen Park in like an hour and 10 minutes, which is kind of amazing. Because we went through construction and we just flew right through it. I was like, woohoo! We get to Evergreen Park and we pick up my dad, and we get in my dad's Trailblazer and make my cousin Roy drive us into the city. I hate Chicago. I'm gonna say it. I get tense. I just tense up. I can't handle it. I'm from a town of like 4,500 people. I just tense up. And her hospital is Northwestern, right downtown. I'm talking, you can't get much more downtown. Well, we finally get there, and we get in the parking garage on the top floor, which is the 10th floor, the Louis Armstrong floor, because they all have a name. There's Barbara Streisand and Patsy Cline and Tony Bennett, because they want you to remember where you're parked. So we get in the elevator and we go down, and then we have to cross this thing over the road, and then we get a little badge, and we get in the elevator and go up, and then we get off there at critical care, and there's like a team of doctors standing at her door, and we're like, oh yeah, this is not good. So they escort us to a conference room and said they're going to go get the rest of the team and be back. In walk a critical care doctor, really nice dude, and two women doctors on the liver transplant team, and we're all sitting there talking. She said she had a bad night. She's taking kind of a turn for the worse. They're hoping to turn her around. Her blood's so thin, you know, she's just bleeding out of orifices, and they're just having a problem. They, you know, it was a bad situation. And she was going through a procedure in her room as we were talking from a gastroenterologist. I can't say it. I just know it starts with a gastra. He was running a tube down her throat to check her stomach and stuff down there, and he came in and whispered something to one doctor, and she's like, oh, and then she whispered something to the other doctor, and he put his head down and shook it, and I'm like, oh, this is not good. He said, you know, I'm sorry that I have to tell you this, but her stomach's dead and her intestines were dying, and so then the doctor said, you know, with this news, there's just nothing we can do. The only thing that was sustaining her life was the oxygen she was on and the medication bags. So we walked down there, and I took 2 steps into her room and turned around. She was just bleeding, you know. Ugh. And Dad was a basket case. Roy held it together pretty well. I was in and out of being a basket case, and then we went back down to the conference room, and we just we called my uncle, who was in like the outer parts of Chicago, but y'all know it takes an hour to get anywhere in Chicago, and he was in a conference. He's the one from Grand Rapids, and I said, you need to leave and go home. Well, first I said, you need to come to the hospital because Mom's not going to survive much longer. And then the doctor said it would probably be, because we asked once they unhooked her, how long? Because, you know, some people linger on for hours or days. And the doctor said, we're talking minutes. And I'm like, oh, so not long. And so I called Jeff back. I said, forget about coming here. I said, go to Grandma. So he left and was heading to Grandma, and they unhooked her at about 3:30 Chicago time, which is 4:30 my time, and she passed away about 20 minutes later. So it was very quick, very painless. She didn't feel anything. They had her drugged up. She didn't know anything. So that we are thankful for, because we didn't want her, going out for days and la la la. So yesterday we got back. Well, we had to hang around the hospital. You had to sign papers and stuff like that. We called our funeral director, who's a friend of ours, and he wasn't in. And I called the receptionist. I said, well, call Bob on his cell phone and tell him it's Humphrey's family. He'll know and he'll get a hold of us. And boy, it wasn't like 10 minutes. And he's like, what happened? And we told him, and he couldn't believe it. He just couldn't believe it. I'm like, we can't believe it. What are you talking about? And we called a lot of people from the hospital to let them know what had happened. And oh man, we got home and dropped my cousin off. My cousin kept my dad's car out there because Dad just didn't want to drive, and we stopped at Grandma's and stayed out. We got to Grandma's about 10:30 that night, and we stayed there till about midnight. Came home, and then yesterday, people started bringing food, and my gosh, we got 2 huge meat and cheese trays. One from my dad's friends at where he used to work, and one from the boyfriend and his wife. Who, Joni and Larry are crazy. They brought the meat tray, they bought a vegetable tray, they bought a pickle tray, they bought cookies and a carrot cake and chips and dips and a case of pop, and I'm like, Joni, are you serious? And people just don't know what to do. And so we all had sandwiches here at the house because there was a lot of people coming and going yesterday. And somebody else brought a pineapple cake, and somebody brought meatballs and noodles, and somebody, it just, our refrigerator, we can have sandwiches for the next, while. And I told Heidi, I'm like, you're gonna get a good piece of meat later. So yeah, we, and then, people bring cards, and then we had to go to the funeral home, and there are so many choices and decisions. It's just crazy. What do you want the cards to look like? What little poem-y thing do you want inside the card? Who do you want the obit to go to? Do you want a picture with the obit? Which picture do you choose to go with the obit? And last night I woke up in the middle of the night thinking flowers, and then I forget by the time I get up this morning, and Dad just calls me here and says, flowers. And I said, yeah, thought of that in the middle of the night. So I called the florist, and we have a meeting with him Monday, because he's already getting calls for flowers for my mom's funeral, so he knows what's going on. He goes, you can come Monday morning, and that's plenty of time, and we'll get you set up. And I'm like, okay. And I just picked out Mom's clothes. Dad left. He didn't want to be here and do it. He can't cope with that. And so he went to get his brother, and he's going to get a haircut, and he's going to buy a new shirt and pants. I'm running out of time. And so when he left, I went and picked out Mom's clothes, and I told him, I said, Mom ain't wearing a dress. Mama don't wear dresses. She's wearing pants and a nice shirt like she always did. So I picked out some of her dress pants and one of her pretty blouses and her jewelry. I kept her wedding set. Dad wanted me to keep her wedding set, but I picked out a couple of her other rings because she always wore rings, and her watch, which she always wore, and her little ball studs that she always wore, and one of her necklaces. And so that's all set up, and that's kind of where we are right now. But I'm running out of time. Now I'm gonna go take a shower. Maybe I'll make me feel better and have a sandwich, because we have lunch meat. Lots of it. So, okay, yeah, must go. I got through it better than I thought I would. I thought I was gonna lose it there for a second, but I sucked it up, people. Whew. Bye.